right, welcome to the Krueg Show, everybody. The solo show as we get things rolling on a Friday morning. Normally, Chase Sr. would be with us today, but Chase is got a little work party at Chat Sports that he's getting ready for. So we're going to go solo for an hour here, and we're going to talk a little Bay Area sports. We're going to hit the Giants, the Niners, and the Warriors. We're going to hit Brock Purdy. We're going to hit Draymond Green. We're going to hit Jung-Ho Lee, Buster Posey, a little Cam Newton, all before we get out of here. And then we are also going to take your phone calls in the final segment of the show. So I'm going to put the link in the description so you can, or in the chat, I should say, you put the call link in the chat right there. And so you can line up for the final 15 minutes of the show. We're going to take calls. It'll probably be more of a speed round of calls, but we will take your phone calls in the final 15 minutes of the show. It's only an hour-long show. We're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. We're also brought to you by the New York Style Italian Sausage Company, as well as Marin Auto Glass, Underdog Fantasy, and Mojo Fantasy. Check the link in the description and use that promo code Krueg, and they will match you up to your first $100. All right. Also today, because we are going to go on a little bit of a timer for each one of these topics, we got a little timer going today. So there we go. The timer is up and running right there. You see it. So we're going to go 15 minutes per topic. And if you want to jump in, please do in the final segment. We'll take your calls on any of these topics. You want to talk Warriors, you want to talk Giants, you want to talk Niners. We will do it all with you in a bit. Okay, first, let's also mention before we get rolling here that we are going to be in Corte Madera on Sunday, and feel free to join us in Corte Madera for our watch party at Pig and a Pickle, 341 Corte Madera Town Center. 341 Corte Madera Town Center. We'll be there from 1 o'clock till 6 o'clock watching the Niners and the Cardinals. We'll do the post-game show from there, stop by, have some barbecue, have a beer, do a little meet and greet. I think Damon's going to be there. Kev's going to be there, bringing the whole family, the wife, the kids, the whole deal. And you're all invited. We're doing a little meet and greet watch party. Never done it before. Don't know how many people are going to show up. But Pig and a Pickle's awesome barbecue. Come have a sandwich. Come have a beer. And then if you want, hang out and watch us do the post game. Or if not, go Christmas shopping. You know, it's a great mall, and there's a lot going on there. So you can come check it out. 341 Corte Madera Town Center. That's this Sunday, the 17th, in Marin. All right, let's talk a little bit about the three topics that we wanted to get into today. And we're going to start with, why don't we start with Brock Purdy? Brock Purdy, is he a game manager? Is he a game changer? This was Cam Newton's commentary that Cam got into over the last couple of days, where he's basically calling Brock a game manager. And, you know, here's the thing on this. First of all, Cam doesn't want to be part of this. He's like, well, why are people ripping me? It would be the same thing. If I started saying, okay, here are the top 5 content creators, people would immediately start comparing them to me. If I said, hey, who are the top 5 radio guys, sports radio guys in the Bay Area, people would immediately start comparing them to me. If you're a quarterback and then you start comping quarterbacks, of course, they're going to start comparing these quarterbacks to you. If Mick Jagger started ranking rock and roll bands, people would rank everything and reference the Stones. So that's just human nature. So for Cam to be like, why is everybody pointing at me? They're pointing at you because you're pointing at them and they're pointing back to you. But Cam Newton's catching heat for his commentary on a handful of the quarterbacks. He ripped Purdy, Goff, Tua, Prescott, and then he doubled down today and ripped Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and basically said they're game managers and not game changers. And, you know, Cam owns a national championship. He's got a Heisman. He's got an MVP. He's won 3 division titles. He's got a conference crown. He had an 11-year career. He can comment on quarterbacks freely, and that's just fine. Obviously, he wants a job on ESPN or Fox. He sees how much those guys make, and he's like, why can't I make that kind of money? So this is all geared towards him getting on one of these shows. But let's just get right into it. Game manager versus game changer. I think that just does a huge disservice to Tua and Brock and Prescott and Goff. Goff's been to a Super Bowl. Tua's operating one of the most explosive offenses in the game today. Prescott may win the MVP. If he doesn't, Brock Purdy may. Very likely that Brock or Prescott represents the NFC with the Cowboys or Niners in the Super Bowl this year. And I just think that it's used as a pejorative. It's used as a game manager, meaning like you're somehow lesser. And then for him to double down on it today and throw Brady and Manning in there, I mean, it takes audacity. I mean, Cam had 3 winning seasons in 10. 3 winning seasons. The rest of them are losing seasons. His career was done at 32. So I just don't believe that. And what is managing a game? I mean, it's a ridiculous statement. Brock Purdy has changed the dynamic for the 49ers. If you don't want to think Brock Purdy's a game changer, look what happened to the 49ers offense in the NFC Championship game without Brock Purdy. Look at all the quarterbacks under Shanahan, not named Garoppolo, were 9-29. And now Brock Purdy steps in, he's 15-3. I think he's a game changer. He's been a game changer for this franchise. If tomorrow Brock Purdy got hurt, knock on wood, and he wasn't able to play the rest of the year, the Niners' chances of winning the Super Bowl would sink like a stone. You're not going to just sub in Sam Darnold and they're going to the bowl. No, they're not going to the bowl. I mean, that's what, in my opinion, Brock Purdy to me is much more than a game manager. He takes shots down the field. He leads the league in completion percentage, QB rating, and yards per attempt. If anything, he's the opposite of the check down guy. The game manager. When I think of game manager, I think of Alex Smith. Why? Because he checked it down all the time. He wanted to check it down. Brock Purdy doesn't want to check it down. Brock Purdy rarely checks it down. So I just think that to call Brock a game manager is wrong. And it's like, to throw Tom Brady in there. I mean, you're talking about the greatest quarterback that ever lived in some people's minds. Was Joe Montana a game manager? It's like, and then Cam would call himself a game changer. So now what? Brady is lesser than Cam? In what world is that accurate? Peyton Manning is lesser than Cam? In what world is that reality? You could make an argument that Brock Purdy, if you just look at the numbers, the record, the completion percentage, the touchdowns, the yards per attempt, the interception ratio, you look at any stat you want. Brock Purdy's been better in his first 2 years than Cam Newton was in his first 2 years coming out of Auburn. So I really got to push back aggressively on the Cam Newton. He's entitled to his opinion. We're entitled to call him an idiot for having that opinion. And for him to just take side swipes at all these quarterbacks without really supporting. Anybody can have an opinion. It's how you support it. If he had this opinion and he supported it with unbelievable facts and commentary, it would be one thing. But he's like, the 49ers are not winning because of Brock Purdy. Bullshit. They are winning because of Brock Purdy. They are absolutely winning because of Brock Purdy. And if I had to get Kyle Shanahan to sit right next to me in the studio and attest to that, he would. If I walked into the Niner locker room and said, is Brock Purdy along for the ride or is he kind of a major cog? Everybody would be like, dude, he's driving the bus. He's absolutely been huge for the 49ers. So to sit there and say that, Brock Purdy's a game manager, that's just not accurate. Jared Goff, I don't even think's a game manager. I think Jared Goff makes plays down the field. Jared Goff can throw the pill. Tua Tagovailoa, I think, is not a game manager. I don't think Prescott's a game manager. And to then double down today in this 10-minute retort that now includes, you're trying to clarify yourself. Now you add Tom Brady to the mix. Now Tom Brady and Peyton Manning are game managers, but Cam Newton is a game changer. I mean, seriously. I mean, it's so wrong on so many levels that I don't even know where to start. So Cam, and then today he's quoting the people who do the hiring he's mentioning the people that are doing the hiring at ESPN and Fox. So I think he pretty much gave us where he's coming from. He wants to be on Fox. He wants to be on ESPN. He knows the people on those shows are making $1 million a year. He wants to make that Skrilla. He wants to make that cake. And so that's why he's making this strong statement. But it's people then push back. Well, you don't think Cam has a right to have an opinion? Of course he has a right to have an opinion. He absolutely has a right to have an opinion. But we have a right to sit there and tell him his opinion's ridiculous. And if you're really going to, you're going to separate quarterbacks and you're going to take Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, two of the greatest quarterbacks of your era, and try to make it seem like you are better than them, you got to be kidding me. Your career ended at 32. Steve Young's career didn't even start with the 49ers till he was 31. So you had a short-lived career. In your biggest moment, you fumbled in the Super Bowl. You didn't fall on it. You made a business decision in the biggest moment of your game, of your career. You made even though you're the biggest, baddest, most physically dominant quarterback possibly in the history of the NFL. When when you fumbled the ball in the Super Bowl, you didn't have the guts to fall on it. So, I mean, that's not exactly the height of competitive fire. That's your moment in the sun and you shrunk. That's as bad. To me, him not falling on that fumble is like Chris Webber calling the timeout in the national championship game against North Carolina. That was Chris Webber's moment for a title, and he swallowed the olive. That was Cam Newton's moment in the sun, and he made a business decision and showed cowardice. I mean, come on. Seriously, that's what defines you. As far as this whole thing, you're going to rip these guys that are playing now and put yourself, despite the fact you played 10 years in the league, you only had 3 winning seasons, and you're going to put yourself in a game changer category. You're somehow better than Brady. You're better than Peyton. You're better than Purdy. And you can't use stats because they have better stats than you. So, I mean, all I got to say to Cam Newton is, good luck getting on ESPN. Good luck getting on Fox. Hopefully it all works out for you. You won the Heisman, you won a national championship, you won an MVP, you won 3 division titles, you went to the Super Bowl, you had an 11-year career. You're entitled to your opinion, but Prescott, Purdy, Tua, Goff, Peyton, and Brady are game managers, and you're a game changer? Really? That's rich. I mean, that's rich. So I sorry about that from Cam's front. Don't get it. Don't understand it. Don't agree with it. And simple as that. I personally think that that Cam is trying desperately to get on these shows so he can make some of that big TV money. And I don't think it's necessarily going to work. So there you go. I think Brock Purdy is absolutely a game changer for the Niners. And if I had every 49er player and coach and executive sitting right behind me and we took a vote, is Brock a game manager or a game changer? They would say he's an absolute game changer for the 49ers. So topic number 1 right there. We'll hit the reset on the timer because we'll save the extra time for the next topic. But absolutely, in my mind, Brock Purdy is not a game manager. He's a game changer. And Cam Newton is not Brock Purdy. Cam Newton is not – Brock Purdy's probably had a better first 2 years than Cam had. Probably will wind up with a better career. But you're going to double down and include Tom Brady and Peyton Manning? Wow. You may want to think that one over again. All right, topic number 2. Let's move to Draymond Green and the Golden State Warriors. Green, I love Draymond Green. Anybody who follows me knows I'm a huge Draymond Green fan. But what he did the other night really took it to another level. It was premeditated. It was violent. He took a shot to Yusuf Nurkic's head. It was the equivalent of Deacon Jones' head slap in the 60s. I mean, he basically took a head slap on Nurkic. And what should the Warriors do? Stop enabling this guy. And it might be time to just make a decision. It really calls up a bigger decision. Are the Warriors going to the finish line with Klay Thompson? Are they going to the finish line with Draymond Green? Or are they going to try to win a title? Because I don't know that you can do both. It really leads to a bigger series of questions. And it's all questions for Steph Curry. And I've been the biggest supporter of Draymond Green. I've always backed him, but he lost me with this one. He head slapped Nurkic as payback. I watched that game. Nurkic had 2 ridiculous flops earlier in that game that resulted on foul calls against Šarić and Kuminga. And this was Green paying him back. 2 ridiculous flops. And I'm sure Draymond said, man, you're going to flop. I'll show I'll show you something violent. Now we'll see how you look. And so he violently and in my opinion, in a premeditated fashion, swung his arms and head slapped Yusuf Nurkic. And he should be out a while. 10 games, 12 games, 15 games. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take, but he needs help. I mean, this guy needs help. And if I'm the Warriors, they've signed this guy up long term, but I don't know that I'm going to the finish line with Draymond Green and Klay Thompson. I think Klay Thompson's got a couple years left. And they're going to offer him a 2-year, $50 million contract, it sounds like. And it sounds like he's going to be turned off by that. I don't think he can handle the twilight of his career. And I'm not sure that Green can handle the twilight of his career. This is what happens in life. Sometimes people can handle the different chapters of their life, and sometimes they can't. I think we're looking at a player in Draymond Green and Klay Thompson that can't handle the twilight of their careers. And they just don't know how to react to it. So as much as I hate to say it, because I've always been a big proponent, keep Steph and Draymond and Klay together. Go to the finish line with these guys. I wouldn't do it. And if I was Steph Curry, this is a real tough call. Steph, this one's on you, buddy. You're going to have to decide. What do you want? And if I'm Joe Lacob, I got so much respect for Steph Curry, the career he's had, and what he's meant to the game of basketball and what he's meant to the Warrior franchise. They were losers until he showed up. And now they're winners. They played in an outdated arena. And now they play in a palatial, opulent palace. Their value of their franchise has gone up like 10 times over. What Steph Curry has done to the value of the franchise, the image of the franchise, what he's done for basketball, he deserves to be able to make this decision. It's on him. Does he want to go? What does he want? And it's like, I know he wants it all. He wants to go, he came in with Klay and Draymond. He wants to go out with Klay and Draymond. He's won titles with those guys. He wants to win more titles with those guys. But I'm getting the feeling, and I'm not sure if you guys are as well, that it's one or the other, but not both. Steph Curry might be able to win another title. But I doubt that they're going to be able to win another title with Draymond Green and Klay Thompson taking up as much of the payroll room in a cap sport as they do. So I think it's really going to come down to, what does Steph want more? Does he want to go out with his boys, or does he want to win a title? Is he comfortable not winning a title, despite the fact that he looks like he's going to have an elongated prime? Steph himself looks like he's going to stay on top for probably a number of years because his game is so skill-based, and his hand-eye coordination is going to age pretty well. What does he want more? Does he want to win more, or does he want to be, with Draymond and Klay more? And, I've heard people say, well, the Warriors should just trade Klay Thompson. You're not trading Klay Thompson without Steph Curry's approval. You're not doing it. What? So then he could come back to you potentially 48 hours later and say, hey, you know what? I've decided I don't like you guys anymore. You traded my buddy. You didn't consult me. I now want to be in Charlotte. I want to go play for the Knicks. I want out. Then your whole thing blows up and you've got this super expensive arena and no headliner. So Steph is part of the decision-making brass. He doesn't own the team, but maybe he's going to get a piece of the team. And maybe that's the trade-off if you're Lacob. I'll give you a piece of the team, but let us move on from these guys. Maybe that's the deal they cut. But if you're Steph Curry, you got a decision to make. Do you want to ride out with Green and Thompson and maybe not win a title? Or do you want to move those guys, or at least be open to moving those guys, or one of those guys, and see if you can, put together a cast of characters that will get it done? I saw a deal the other day that the Warriors would trade 2 number ones and Chris Paul to the Bulls for Nikola Vucevic and Caruso, the guard. I would do that. I think that would help them immensely. Bleacher Report had 5 trades that they would consider for Draymond Green that they put out in an article yesterday, and the trades are really kind of interesting. One is Draymond for Grant Williams, Rashawn Holmes, and a second. Don't want that. One's for Buddy Hield and Jalen Smith. Don't want that. One's for Harrison Barnes, JaVale McGee, and a couple second-round picks to Sacramento. Don't want that. But there were 2 of them in here that were kind of interesting. One was trade Draymond and a top 5 protected first-round pick in 2027 to the Cavs for Sam Merrill and Jared Allen. Well, Sam Merrill's just a guy. But Jared Allen's a big man who can block shots, run the floor. I could be sold on the value of Jared Allen. The one that I liked the best was Draymond to the Lakers for Rui Hachimura and Jackson Hayes. Jackson Hayes is a 7-footer who can run the floor. Hachimura is a combo forward who's got a lot of talent, really good guy, played at Gonzaga, works hard, great athlete. You're getting younger, you're getting faster, you're getting 2 guys who can really run the floor and play up tempo. I would consider that. I absolutely would consider that. Draymond may go to LA and win a ring there with LeBron, but you turn the page on Draymond. And as far as Klay Thompson, I don't know what Klay Thompson's worth in a trade market. I don't know if anybody really wants Klay Thompson at the kind of money that he's making and everything that goes along with the twilight of his career. I don't know. But that's the decision. It's Steph and Klay. It's Steph's call. Steph, what do you want? You want to win or you want to go out with your guys? You may get one, but you probably don't get both. So if it comes down to an either or, Steph, the ball's in your court. What do you want? You want Draymond and Klay to the finish line, or do you desperately need that 5th ring? If you desperately need that 5th ring, you may have to say goodbye to your guys. And the Warriors can't make this decision. Steph has to make this decision. This is not a Joe decision. This is not a Dunleavy decision. This is Steph's call. What does he want? All right. That's topic number 2. Let's save our extra time and reset the timer. And now we've covered Cam Newton. We've covered the Warriors and Steph Curry. We'll reset the timer here. And there we go. All right. Now let's jump in and talk a little bit about the Giants. And then we will devote the rest of the show to your phone calls. All right. Let's get in on the Giants right here. This, to me, has been a very interesting week for the San Francisco Giants. And there's really 2 topics that we want to touch on. One, the Giants signed Jung-Hoo Lee to a 6-year deal for $113 million. And they officially made the announcement. He's going to get $5 million in a signing bonus. He's going to make salaries of $7 million this year, $16 million in 2025, and then $22 million per year in 2026, 2027, and then $20.5 million in each of the final 2 years, in 28 and 29, if he doesn't opt out after the 4th year. He's got a 4th year. He's got an opt-out after the 4th year. So the Giants give him a 6-year, $113 million deal with the opt-out after 4 years. And in addition to that, the Giants will owe a posting fee of $18.8 million to the Kiwoom Heroes of the KBO. This is a Scott Boras deal for Lee. He's 25. He's been a highly anticipated free agent for over a year. It was reported in January that the Heroes of the KBO would post him for clubs this year. He had a great 2022 season. He's got strong plate discipline. Last year, he walked in 10.5% of his plate appearances. He struck out in just 5.1% of them. He's never hit more than 15 home runs in a season in the KBO. He did manage to tally 23, or he's had one season, I should say, of over 15. He had 23 in that one season. He finished with a batting line of 349 with a 421 on base. So he was 75% better than the league average in the KBO. He also won a Gold Glove Award for the 5th straight year. He's also earned the MVP honors in the KBO. And then in 2023, he played just 86 games because of a fractured ankle. He hit 318 with a 406 on base, 6 home runs in 86 games. He injured the left ankle in late July, and it had to have surgery, which ended his year. The Giants wanted him, the Padres, the Yanks, the Mets, and the Giants eventually get him. I'm not a big fan of this signing, and I've talked about it on Twitter. $19 million a year for a slap hitter is, to me, a dramatic overpay. The other thing that really concerns me is that the KBO pitcher's average fastball is 88. The big leagues, the average fastball is 94. I don't think they're going to pitch him off the corners and mess around with him. I think they're going to come right down the middle with hard stuff, and we're going to find out if he can hit it. It's going to be hard stuff on the hands all night long. Every team in baseball's got a series of guys that can throw 95, and many of them throw 98. Then you look at the fact that the KBO is the baseball equivalent of high A ball, and they just gave $19 million to a minor leaguer coming off a fractured ankle that nobody knows exactly how he's going to bounce back from. So I don't see him walking a ton. There's not a lot of power there. He's got an elongated swing. There's some durability concerns. He hits the ball hard on the ground. He hits ground balls almost 60% of the time. You could have had Cody Bellinger, and you could have had Harrison Bader for a whole lot less money. I also don't see a leadoff hitter. I think this guy's going to hit 7, 8, or 9 in the Giants lineup. Supposedly he struggles against the slider, struggles against the cutter. They're saying that he doesn't have much of an outfield arm, and he may profile best as a left fielder. So he's not a runner. He's only got 69 steals in 7 seasons in the KBO, and that was before ankle surgery. So I don't know. They say he doesn't swing the bat with the opposite field. He doesn't hit the ball to the opposite field with authority. Here's a quote from the scouting report. To improve and cement himself as a serious major leaguer, Lee will have to completely overhaul his swing, combined with the fact that the KBO pitchers simply don't challenge hitters anywhere close to the level MLB pitchers can. Lee's likelihood to produce in 2024 is bleak. The major league comp on him is Jeff McNeil. I like Jeff McNeil, but $113 million for Jeff McNeil. So there's my skepticism. To me, it's a dramatic overpay. He has to be a full-time, everyday starting center fielder. Can't be a platoon guy. Not for $113 million. You're not paying $19 million a year for a platoon outfielder without power. So he's got to play every day. I'm seeing a guy that I think is going to hit about 270 with 10 home runs and 10 to 15 stolen bases. And that is a dramatic overpay for $113 million. So, and I'll say this, if he is the big acquisition for the Giants are screwed. I mean, they really are. This cannot be their big move. They better follow this up with Yamamoto, Blake Snell, Rhys Hoskins, Matt Chapman, Jorge Soler, Cody Bellinger. I mean, there better be something big coming, bigger. If this is the big move, I think they're screwed. So, let's just say this. Even if you're the biggest Giants fan of all time, this is a major, major projection. You're projecting so much here. Maybe it works out, and I'm rooting for them, and I hope it works out. But this is a major, major projection for the Giants. And I just think that, man, you're really going to throw this. If let's just say, they say KBO is high A, almost high A or between high A and double A. You just spent $113 million on a double A guy coming off a down year, ankle surgery, never done it in the big leagues, who some people think is going to have to revamp his swing and doesn't throw well. for $113 million? $19 million. You know what? When I looked at what they're paying him the same thing that the Astros are paying Yordan Alvarez. They're paying him what the Diamondbacks are paying Corbin Carroll. They're expecting this guy to be a star. He's got to play like a star. He's got to be an everyday guy. He's probably got to be a leadoff hitter. He's got to be a center fielder. I mean, it's just, this is not what I expected. I mean, Farhan takes so few risks and then takes this risk. KBO hitter, projecting a double-A guy to the big leagues, and you gave him. Are you telling me there was another team out there that was willing to give this guy anything close to this? I think Boris took Farhan for a big ride here. 6 years and $113 million for this level of a projection? I mean, I hope it works out. But, man, if they don't follow it up with Blake Snell or Yoshinobu Yamamoto or Jorge Soler or Rhys Hoskins or Matt Chapman or some series of other moves, this could be a disaster. If this is the big pickup, they're screwed. But I still can't get over $19 million for a guy that they're comparing to Jeff McNeil. I'll tell you what I think he's going to do. 270 to 285. 10 to 15 home runs, 10 to 15 stolen bases, good D in center. Is that worth $19 million a year? Really? And the Giants love to platoon. This guy can't be a platoon. You can't spend $19 million on a platoon outfielder. This guy's got to be a full-time guy. So this is major risk. Major risk. I mean, even if you're the hardest of hardcore Giants fans, you have to admit this is a major risk. All right. In the final 5 minutes of this segment, before we open it up to the phone calls, and Digital Drew's in the house, Niner Gang's in the house, we'll let these guys have their say in the final 15 minutes or maybe roughly 20 minutes of the show. The other thing that got a lot of headlines that I got to comment on is Buster Posey's comments. And Buster basically came out and talked a little bit about this, and just said that, that San Francisco, believe it or not, because of the homeless problem and the drug problem and the real city problems, is not been a selling point to prospective free agents and their wives. And then immediately there's all these people who are like, I'm not voting for Buster for the Hall of Fame. Wow, really? So Buster just shared with you, and I know people would say, oh, it comes across like a weak excuse by Buster. But I think he's right. I'm a native San Franciscan. The city of San Francisco should be a major selling point, but it's gotten a ton of bad publicity nationally. It's become a political football. The impact of that bad publicity is that wives of Major League Baseball free agents are not in a rush to come here. San Francisco's a great city. It's a world-class city. There's no question in my mind. It's a far safer city than Chicago, than New Orleans, than D.C., than many big cities where the murder rates are far greater. It's far safer than those places. But the perception becomes the reality. And the perception is that San Francisco is a city to stay away from. Should be a selling point, but it isn't. It's become exactly the opposite. And you can get mad at Buster, and this is one of those things, and I can understand why people are pushing back because they've got pride in the city. But you're pushing back on the wrong guy. Buster, don't kill the messenger because you don't like the message. He's not making an excuse. He's telling you about the reality of doing business in 2023 in San Francisco. This is the reality. You can argue with it, but this is the reality. If you're telling me that wives of big leaguers don't want to be here because they watch TV shows and they show feces maps and needles and highlight the problems that San Francisco has, and they're scared about raising their family here and they prefer to be elsewhere, you're going to get mad at Buster Posey for that? The people that have pushed back so angrily on Buster Posey, who's such a class act, such an honest guy. Oh, he should go back to Georgia and all this garbage. My God, that's how you treat a franchise icon who shares with you a fact that he's noticed in the midst of these negotiations? It's not an excuse. It's reality. And it's sad. It's a factor that has zero to do with the competence of the San Francisco Giants. It has zero to do with the competence of the Giant ownership group or Bob Melvin or Farhan Zaidi or Buster himself. It has nothing to do with any of their competency. And I know it comes across as, oh, man, they're making excuses. Just get it done. He's sharing with you, honestly, what feedback he's getting from free agents. And you guys are killing him because you don't like the message. Shame on you. This is reality. Now, this is when I say reality, it's all based on a perception. And it really doesn't matter if it's true or not. It really doesn't matter if it's accurate or not. This is the perception. So he's sharing with us that, you know what? This is the perception of what's going on with the Giants. This is the perception of what's going on in San Francisco. And people are just rising up and they're just being like, I hate Buster. And they're crapping on Buster. He's just telling you what he's hearing from agents, players, and their wives. And guess who makes the decision on whether or not to come to San Francisco? Agents, players, and the players' wives. So we can sit here all we want and get really, 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 really mad about Buster, what Buster said, and Buster this and Buster that. And it doesn't really matter if it's why they have the perception, just that they have the perception. That's their perception of the situation. We all know San Francisco is a political football. It's largely because Gavin Newsom is going to run for president, and the right-wing media is pushing back hard on Gavin Newsom and trying to kneecap him. And how do you do that? You kill his hometown. And so we all get it. I mean, it's not like there's a mystery what's going on here. We know exactly what's going on. But it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. This is how the agents, the players, and their wives feel. And I believe Buster when he says this is the feedback he's getting. And the fact that he's sharing it with us, don't kill the messenger because you don't like the message. All right. Let's get your calls right here. We've gone, we're 27 minutes into it. We're going to go till 45. So we got about 20 minutes or so, or roughly 15 minutes to take your calls. I got to go pick up my kid from a class. So I got to get out of here by 10:02. But let's do this. Let's kill the clock for a second here. We'll move the clock away. And I guess we can restart it here in the final 15. And then what we'll do is we'll hit the calls. And of course, we're brought to you by New York Style Italian Sausage. We're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. Marin Auto Glass New York Style Italian Sausage, of course, is our longest sponsor. They've been with us the longest amount of time. And then, of course, Underdog Fantasy and Mojo Fantasy are our newest sponsors and the title sponsor of the Krueg Show. Pig and a Pickle. And on that note, we go to Digital Drew.
Hey, what's up, Larry?
Doing great, man. What's on your mind?
Awesome. All right. Last called in. I ripped Cam pretty good. And wow, he did not disappoint in doubling down on the game manager stuff. I mean, come on, dude. I'm a game manager. Okay. Purdy is not a game manager. But I don't know why we keep putting that in the pejorative column. I know it's used that way by all these people, but it just doesn't seem to make any sense because managing the game or taking what the defense gives you or, not taking unnecessary risks, understanding what the position of the game is, what the right call is at the right time. How is that a negative? I'm sorry, I'm lost. I understand why people use it the way they do, but it's just never, ever made any sense to me.
Well, and it is a pejorative. It is viewed as a way to slight a quarterback. It's basically like saying that you're a product of your surroundings. You're not really, you're not really good on your own. You're good because of Kyle. You're good because of the weapons. And Kyle was here, and his quarterbacks were 9-29. And those quarterbacks that were lousy that made up those 9 wins and 29 losses had a great series of weapons. Many of the weapons that they have today, but they didn't make use of them. So I just think I'm pushing back mostly on the Brock part of it. But, I mean, today he grew it to include Brady and Manning. I mean,
That's
Cam
insane.
Newton, you're not better than Tom Brady. Cam Newton, you're not better than Peyton Manning. You could make a strong argument that Cam Newton's the worst quarterback of all of these quarterbacks that he called game managers. He might be worse than all of them.
100%. 100%. And I know that I believe you're right that he's making a play to get on one of these morning shows or one of these national rags where they sit back and throw out, pre-processed opinions that don't make any sense. This is so clownish, you're not going to get on. In fact, even the hacks that are there now are just going to go, ugh, that's a little outlandish even for us.
And then the other thing that makes me laugh is that Cam, it's like if I started commenting about if I started ranking radio guys, people would throw my radio career back in it and put me in the mix of it. If I started ranking content creators, people would then put my content up against the people that I'm ranking. So it's like, if you're going to rank NFL quarterbacks, expect that you're going to be, what you did as a quarterback is going to be part of the dialogue. And he doesn't seem comfortable with that either.
Yeah. And he was a great player. He obviously had some shortcomings, and that's fine. I don't even have to bring his career into it. It's just a terrible take is a terrible take. Yeah. It makes you scratch your head as to like, why, why are you going after him? And I guess bigger picture, we see such pushback on the national stage against Purdy. I can't for the life of me understand. Well, I guess I can. Their opinions are not coming from a stat-based or film-based place.
Right.
I've heard criticism about how he wears his hat, what his name was.
I mean, come on, call him coward. Yeah. That was embarrassing.
It was embarrassing. Nick Wright last week says, we have to be honest about who the great players are. Well, we also have to be honest who the great commentators are. You, sir, are not one of them. In fact, you're a clown. So these guys have to get the hell out of the way. But when it comes to Purdy specifically, in the criticism, they kind of provide the blueprint of what they're willing to accept as far as a great quarterback goes. He's got to have all the intangibles. He's got to tick all the boxes on the physical end. He's got to have the right look. He's got to carry himself the right way. They're being gatekeepers on who they deem, as franchise quarterbacks or the faces of the league. Even though, if you look at what Purdy's doing, you look at the stats, you look at the film, you look how he carries himself. They're really grasping at straws here, and they're bringing their own preconceived ideas of what they think a quarterback in the NFL should be. He doesn't fit that mold, so he's being written off. And they're pulling at any excuse possible from the name, from the hat, from all these different things to try to make that so. Is the only way out of that pitfall for him is just winning the Super Bowl? Is that the only way out of it for Purdy?
And that's the beauty of it. I mean, Purdy was asked yesterday by Grant Cohn, are you a game manager? And he's like, I don't know, man. We'll see when this is all over. And I think what he means by that is we'll see on Super Bowl Sunday. There's going to be a moment. And the best quote comes from Richard Sherman, who's like, you know what? Nothing's going to make the doubters go away. He's just going to have to go out there and take it. Nobody's going to hand him anything. Nobody's going to give him flowers. Yep. Nobody's going to say, hey, you're Brock, you're this or you're that. He's going to have to go take it. And when he takes it, they'll have to give him credit. They'll have to give him applause. They'll have to recognize that he went and took it. But until the day he takes it, they will doubt him. I get the sense when I talk to a number of content creator people who do what I do, that there's a group of them out there that literally will not give him the full endorsement, like wholehearted endorsement, until he wins that ring. Think about that for a second. He has to win the ultimate prize before he's going to win people over. But you know what? It's not that things are not that different than Joe Montana. Joe Montana won the Super Bowl in January of '82. And yet when he got into the Super Bowl in January of '85 after the '84 season, there were people that went into that week saying, well, yeah, Joe's nice, but he ain't Marino. Because Marino had the big arm. Marino had the big stats. Marino.
Yep.
What did Joe do? He went out and won the Super Bowl MVP. And from that point on, he was the made man. He had actually won a Super Bowl before he won over everybody. He didn't actually win people over on a national scale as fully legit. He was a product of Walsh. He was a product of the Niners and this and that, all until he beat Marino and won that second Super Bowl. So, you know what? And if that had been the Twitter era, there would have been people all week going, yeah, Joe's nice, but he's a product of Walsh and he's a product of the surroundings and this and that. And he's not the guy. Marino's the guy. And then Joe went out and proved it. And Brock's going to have to do the same on Super Bowl Sunday in Vegas, on February the 11th, if he's going to get his full acceptance across the board. And he's just going to have to take it. Nobody's going to give it to him. He's just going to have to go take it.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to talk the Dubs, but I don't know. It's a bit too depressing for me. I love Draymond, but he's just got to get his head right. This is the first season since Curry's been on the roster that I looked at it and just went, they're old. They're old, man. They're old. Slow. They're old. They don't. It's over. That magic is gone. Yep. And I think Kerr is at a loss as to what to do, because I think now basketball IQ and the loyalty to players are now at odds with each other.
Right.
And
he should take the bench and put them. He should take the bench and start them. Take the starters and put them on the bench and say, "Hey, anybody got a problem with that? Check your ego at the freaking door." But instead, he's trying to massage everything, and he doesn't want Clay to. He doesn't want to lose Clay, and he doesn't want to lose Draymond. And he doesn't want to screw their feelings. Put the bench in the lineup. Take the starters and put them on the bench. Looney looks old and tired. Draymond has obviously lots of problems and is going to be out for a while. Klay Thompson is a shadow of what he used to be, and they've got good young players that can play. Trace Jackson Davis, Brandon Pajemski, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody. Those guys have to be in there with Steph, and they need to take their starters and sit them on the bench.
Yeah, I saw something against OKC a couple weeks back that just infuriated me and let me know this is going to be a lost season. Moses Moody, it was in the fourth quarter. He was obviously the hot hand. He was 4 for 4 from downtown, 6 for 6 shooting in the game. 2 of the threes that didn't count still went in because they were waved off because of fouls. Kerr pulled him and put Clay into the game, which Clay then turned around and missed 3 straight shots.
Wow.
And I just thought,
he's not just missing either. He's not just missing. He's hitting the bottom of the backboard. Hey, Digital Drew, let me jump because I want to get to these 3 other callers. But have a great Friday, my man.
Yeah, you too.
There you go. Digital Drew in Chicago. Niner Gang, you're up.
What's going on, Larry? How we doing?
I'm doing great, man. What do you want to talk about?
Man, not a whole lot. I'll make it quick for you. I know you got to run, man. I just want to give you your freaking flowers, bro. You went through a gauntlet last night with Jesse and Coach, man. That was rough.
That was rough. And it's just like we keep moving the goalposts. We keep changing the topic. We keep changing the measuring stick. It's like I love those guys. I love them both. They're both really good, but I was getting to my wit's end last night.
Well, my thing is, man, I watch it all. I've watched you, been watching you for a long time now. I've watched Jess too. Like Jess, like Coach, man, but
they're all great. They're both great.
One thing with Jess right now, it's kind of on the fence about is he's got his little 3-year rule for quarterbacks and all this, that, and the other. And it's like you just said with the last caller, is like, he's not going to give him his flowers until he wins a Super Bowl. And then if he wins a Super Bowl and doesn't get the MVP, probably still not going to give him his flowers. So this guy has, like I went on Damon's show a few minutes ago, just to say hi to Damon.
Yeah.
And that dude could throw for 20 touchdowns in the Super Bowl, 5,000 yards, freaking undefeated, and they would still find something to move the goalpost.
I mean, seriously, I mean, nobody wants to give the. There were many guys. I'm not saying those guys, but many guys who wanted to go with Trey Lance and not Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's 15-3. He's completing 70% of his passes. He's got 25 touchdowns and 7 picks this year. He's got 38 touchdowns and 11 picks. I mean, the guy has been unfreaking believable. If you still need to see more, I got to question why.
Well, the thing of it is it's just like, it doesn't matter. I mean, we can sit here and pick apart. He has this guy, he has that guy. Plain and simple. Look what happened to Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl against Tom Brady when he lost one lineman.
Right.
One lineman. And
he lost both tackles, and he was jailbreak on Mahomes. And look at Mahomes right now. They just lost at home to Buffalo because he's got no receivers. Football is a team sport.
And it's nowhere near no knock towards Patrick Mahomes because he's great. This is a team sport, to your point. He cannot throw and catch the ball to himself. It just does not. He can't block, hike, throw the ball, and catch the damn thing. It just doesn't work that way. But as far as, how Coach and them were coming at it last night, and Jess, I love those two guys, man. I disagree with their take on it. Game manager, I think, is one of the utmost disrespectful comments you could make towards a quarterback.
We couldn't even come to common ground on that.
Nope.
It was like, what do you mean? Why is it a negative? It's like, it's a negative because it is.
It's just, I just feel like, not Coach so much. Let me stop calling him by name. I just feel like certain people, they just don't want to, they're afraid to be wrong to a sense, but on the backside of it, they're sitting there saying they're okay with being wrong, with their takes being wrong. Well, the great thing about this is, to how you do things, is you, Damon, and some of the other guys that I will say by name, you guys make a point, you stand on it, and you roll with it. And if it's wrong, it's freaking wrong, dude. Who cares?
Right.
Dude,
I've been doing this since 1995. I've been wrong. All right. I've been wrong.
Thing, like, some of these guys wanted Trey Lance. They wanted Brock Purdy. Some of them wanted to even go get Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. I'm a fan. Okay. I don't know any of these guys personally. You may. I don't. I don't know any of them personal, but as a fan, I want who's going to do best for the team. I don't care. I know it wouldn't be Sam Darnold. This is a hypothetical. But even if it was Sam Darnold, let the boy play. I don't care who it is. I'm a fan. I simply want my Niners to win, and it does not matter who is the quarterback. I will support them no matter what. No matter he's the last the last pick in the draft or the first pick in the draft. I was behind Trey when they drafted Trey, dude. I almost did a backflip off my bed. I was excited. We
all wanted Trey to be that guy. And I'll say this, I'm in the minority on this one because I think Trey eventually is going to get it going. But it wasn't going to be here on this timeline. He's a long-range play. They probably should have recognized that. But I haven't given up on him. I've met him. I've talked to him. I really believe in him. But I think he's going to come of age in like 2026.
What is he, like, 23 years old? 24
He's 23.
Years old?
I mean, Steve Young, you got to remember this. We're so quick to either anoint somebody or just bash them. It's like Trey Lance, if he was bad for 5 more years, would still be 3 years ahead of Steve Young. Steve Young was not good until he was 31. 5 years from now, Trey Lance is going to be 28. Think about that. He could be bad for 5 more years and still become a Hall of Famer.
Well, look at freaking Jordan Love. He sat on the bench behind Rodgers for 3 years. He doesn't look so great when he first came in this season, but as the season's progressing, he's getting better. I'm not saying he's, turned into a great or whatever, but you see the improvement, right? And if you don't play, you cannot improve. You can practice all damn day. You can throw 10,000 balls a day. It still does not change that live action rep that when you got someone breathing down your neck that's trying to rip your helmet off you, and that's what Trey needed. And to your point, the timelines never added up. It didn't make sense to me in the beginning. I didn't know what's the concept there, other than I had a big hope that maybe Trey's ready to go. Maybe they know something we don't, but turns out that wasn't the case. Maybe that was the case, but unfortunately injuries derailed the plan, and
they made a choice. They went with the highest upside prospect and they got him, but they weren't realize that it was a long range play. It was an unprecedented draft choice. He has had an unprecedented career. You mix in the pandemic as well. There's all kinds of, but still, at the end of the day, I come down to the scouting side of it. Does he have the physical gifts? Yes. Does he have the mental gifts? Yes. Is football important to him? Yes. Those are my three most important boxes. They're all checked. He's smart enough. He's athletic enough. Football means enough to him. So guess what? He's eventually going to get it going.
Yep.
It took Vinny Testaverde a long time. It took Steve Young a long time. It took Sonny Jurgensen a long time. It took Roger Staubach a long time. It took Terry Bradshaw a long time. Go look at the top quarterbacks, the Hall of Fame quarterbacks. There's like 23 of them in the Hall of Fame. Of the 23 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, like 20 of them were no good in their first 3 years. So we can't make this decision based on 3 years. It didn't work for Trey here, but it will work. He will make it. And I really firmly believe that. If I'm wrong, I'll stand on that too. But I really believe that and I said it all last year. So the Niners have two franchise quarterbacks, Brock Purdy and Trey Lance. Brock Purdy's just ready to go right now. Lance is not, but I really believe they're both franchise quarterbacks, and I'll stand on that. Before this, it's all said and done, both these guys are going to be franchise quarterbacks. I really firmly, to this minute, I believe that.
I think with the Trey Lance and Kyle situation, and now Brock, I feel like is absorbing the brunt of it, because people are just. I believe the ones that are negative towards him are the ones that probably were leaning towards Trey Lance. But the fact of the matter is, it's neither one of those boys' fault. I'm sorry, young men's fault, where they ended up or how their career's turning out. Trey got injured. It's not. I mean, whatever. But I think this is more of a reflection of Kyle, the regime, the way the drafting process. They took like you said, highest upside talent, but not realizing that they're ready to win now, and it just didn't stack up. And it's more, to me, it's more of a reflection of Kyle and the scouting staff.
I also think, I'm back to the content creator category. I think there's a lot of people who, they're content creators and they don't realize that be entertaining and give an opinion. But at the end of the day, people are not watching you because you're somehow smarter than everybody else. People aren't watching this show because I'm smarter than you. I'm not. I'm just a guy observing. You're not watching this because you're smart. I'm smarter than you. You're watching this, hopefully, at least in my mind, because we're providing some entertainment, right? It's supposed to be entertaining and a little, constructive conversation and dialogue around sports and teams that we love. That's really all it is. And I think that a lot of people who get in this category think that they have to be right. And if they're somehow proven to be wrong, they're going to lose all credibility and their audience. No. It's about putting on a good show. These are shows. It's about being entertaining. And Coach is tremendously entertaining. Jesse is tremendously entertaining. And they're credible as well. But if you're human, you're going to get some right. You're going to get some wrong. But most importantly is that you provide an entertaining outlet, an entertaining show that people, in their disposable time and there's, want to spend time watching on YouTube. Hey, Niner gang, let me jump because I've got a couple more people that I want to get to, and I got to pick up my kid top of the hour.
Heck yeah. Thank you for having me, Larry. I'll catch you soon, buddy. Great show.
Appreciate you, man. Have a great day. Hanif Razak is with us. Hanif, how are you, man?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Where are you calling from?
Santa Clara.
Nice. What's on your mind?
So Brock Purdy. Honestly, what Cam Newton said about Brock Purdy, like he's a game manager, not a game changer. That just doesn't make sense. Cause like that throw against Jacksonville, he was scrambling out to the left, right?
Right.
He threw over George Kittle and 4 defenders to get it to Brent Ayuk. That was impressive.
If nothing, I mean, the one thing I'd push back the most is like if you heard Shanahan's interview yesterday on KMBR with Tolbert and Copeland, he talks about how Brock never wants to check it down. He's always thinking aggressive. He's always thinking down the field, attack, attack, attack. And that's the opposite mindset of a game manager. A game manager is looking for the safe underneath. Let me get it out of my hands. Let me just safe dump offs to the running back. Don't take chances. That's not Brock. And that's not Brock. I know a lot of people think that's Brock, but that's not Brock.
Yeah. But at the same time, we still got to see 3 more years because like Matt Ryan in his MVP year, right? He was a good elite quarterback, but then the year afterwards and 2 years afterwards, he started becoming less and less of his 2016 self. So we still got to see
because he lost Shanahan.
Yeah, that's true.
That was a big part of it, right? They lost Shanahan, and suddenly he didn't have as good of a supporting cast. He won the MVP. He had an amazing year there. They were incredible on first down.
Number 1 offense.
But I do agree that you have to, you got to stack games and then you got to stack seasons. But all we have is what we have in front of us. And I'm not going to sit there and say, well, tune in 3 years from now and I'll tell you what I think. I'll tell you what I think right now. And 3 years from now, if it changes, I'll tell you that my opinion's changed. And if 3 years from now he's cemented that legacy as a Hall of Fame quarterback or as a Super Bowl winning quarterback, I'll say that too. So these shows happen in the present. I wouldn't defer my opinion to tomorrow just because I'll know more tomorrow.
Yeah, I would say right now he's better than Burrow. Right now he's better than Hurts, better than Dak Prescott right now. But career-wise, we don't really know because they have more experience. So we still gotta wait 3 years if you're gonna compare them.
I mean, I've heard people say, well, hey, I hate guys who, Jesse made the point last night. I don't like comparing guys who have been, 2 years in for a guy who's had a whole career. All I would say is compare guys who have had a whole career's first couple of years. Compare them at similar points. You can make comparisons between Cam Newton and Brock Purdy. You can make comparisons between Matt Ryan and Brock Purdy. Compare them at the same stage. Where were they at the same age? Where were they at the same part in their career? And then you evaluate from there. But it's fluid. The whole thing's fluid. And at the end of the day, all we're talking is football anyway. So, I mean, we all get a little too bent on our opinions. Hanif, have a great day, man. I want to squeeze in 2 more before the end of the hour.
Oh,
thank you, man. Appreciate you. Hutch, we go to the mayor of Murfreesboro. What's up, Hutch? How are you, man?
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear, man.
Awesome. I want to make 2 quick points about Draymond, the Warriors, and then the Niners, and then we'll talk about the Giants. So with Draymond, I feel like you got to trade him because he's already cost you a championship.
Okay.
And give him to what you've already seen time and time again. I mean, if you want to keep him, okay, but Joe Lacob and Steph need to have a sit down with him and be like, if one more little pinky toe crosses the line, sorry, we got to do it because, I mean, they've always talked about it. The Warriors, they want to win championships. Steph wants to win championships. I'd imagine he wants to get more than Michael. I mean, it's just my take on it. So anyway, that's real quick with him. When it comes to the Niners, this whole Brock Purdy thing,
seriously,
what? What are we talking about here?
Tune in Sunday. That's what I would say. Tune in on Sunday.
What are we talking about here? Trust, your eyes. Your eyes, they don't deceive you. It's your mind.
He's 15-3. He's completed 70% of his passes. He's got 38 touchdowns and 11 picks. They win some more. Just consider yourself lucky and tune in on time for Sunday's game.
Yeah, I don't know. And Cam Newton, I mean, really, dude? Whatever. Now, the Giants thing, I think it's a huge risk, but isn't this the longest contract Farhan has ever given out?
Yes, $113 million to a guy who is coming out of the KBO is the biggest risk that guy has ever taken.
So I will say, I think, to me, just how I read the tea leaves, as you always say, it seems to me that they will be making more moves because
they are
taking more risks. Now, in terms of the whole San Francisco City thing with Buster Posey, the people are ripping Buster Posey, just bye, see ya, don't care.
Why? Because he's telling you the truth?
Yeah.
And you don't like
people
it?
like to live in this delusion, man. It's nuts. But I do think if I'm Larry Bear, if I'm Charles the Johnsons, I go to Joe Lacob and I say, let's clean up the city. Like, you have to do it. I mean, when was the last biggest player that decided to come to the Giants? It was Carlos Beltran. Before that,
No,
it was
no,
Bonds.
no. That was a trade.
Yeah, it was a trade. Yeah, that's the thing. It wasn't even a signing.
No, I mean the Giant. No, there haven't really been. I mean, Andre Iguodala. I mean, I'm thinking of the last big signing, Javon Hargrave. Football players are different. It's Santa Clara. It's they're not. How much time are they spending in downtown San Francisco? I mean, it's a little different for football, but yeah, no, I mean, there has to be. This is a London breed problem. There's tons of restaurants and businesses closing all throughout San Francisco for assortment of reasons. And this is on her watch, and she needs to remember that the number one industry of this city is tourism.
Mm-hmm.
And so the cleanliness of the streets and the having a good image nationally is absolutely in your best interest.
Yep.
It should be your number one priority, because people coming here with their disposable income on vacation is the number one industry of the city. We don't make steel. We don't make anything. We are a tourism city. And she needs to understand that, and I don't think she does. She wrapped herself around this idea of we're going to defund the police, and then all of a sudden that invited a lot of bad people. Invited a lot of bad people, and already it's a West Coast city and it's mild climate, so you're going to have a lot of homeless people. That's just reality. It's no different than San Diego or LA. But we got to remember that tourism is where our bread is buttered here. Hutch, let me jump because I got one more.
I just want to say one more thing. Hey,
yeah.
If any other radio station or naysayer or whoever says, hey, you can't use SF wake up call or whatever bullshit they want to throw at you. I know the best process servers and the best process serving companies in the Bay Area. We can sue their asses. All right. If
I hear you, brother.
Sue the San Francisco 49ers and be like, hey, you have to make every other radio station, every other content creator be like, you can't use this. We'll do it. Give me a call.
All right. We'll be just fine. Hey, Hutch, have a good day. Have a great day, man. Appreciate you, brother. There you go. And we finish with Michael Monahan. Michael, we only got 2 minutes, but fire away.
Hey, hopefully my landscapers in the background aren't making too much noise. Hey, did you see Gronk's comment when he was talking to Edelman the other day about Brock?
No. What did he say?
So basically what Gronk said is he kind of flipped the script. He said Brock is such a good game manager that it makes him a game changer.
That's a great one. I love that.
I think it's true because he is that. Plus, with his arm and his throws, he's making big plays on top of that. But I thought that was cool given all this other ridiculous commentary.
No question. I love that one. It's totally true. The guy's efficiency is off the charts.
Yeah. So I was listening to the show with you and Jesse and the coach last night, and I just had to leave. The conversation was just taking such a squirrely turn that I was like, okay, what is the point of this conversation? So I bailed because I was like, this is making me so mad. I like, why are we even talking about this? And in this way, it was just silly.
And hardly any dialogue on the Niners and the Cardinals or the playoff run ahead. All these discussions about things that mean jack and shit.
Exactly.
But whatever. I mean, you know what? Everybody gets a different a time to lead and a time to follow. It was my time to follow, and what can I say?
Yeah, and I love all you guys, but I couldn't.
I do too. I mean, those guys are great. I love those guys.
Last thing, did you ever go to Zelda's Pizza when you were a Hornet at Sac State?
Yes, I've been there. There was a bunch of different places that we used to go, but I do remember going there.
Do you remember those old, fat, crotchety waitresses that were just rude as hell, but you dealt with it so that you could have the spinacoli pizza? Do you remember the spinacoli?
No, that sounds too healthy for me.
I remember fighting with those waitresses because I ordered extra garlic, and I go look at my bill, and they charged me twice for garlic. And I'm like, why are you charging me twice for garlic? And he said, because you wanted extra garlic. And I'm fighting with him for like a half an hour. I'm like, on the menu, it says the pizza comes with garlic. I just want some extra garlic. I'm not asking for extra garlic. And I'm having a 25-minute argument with those ladies about this. But, man, you want to talk about some great deep dish Chicago-style pizza, man. That place was the bomb. And
oh, my goodness.
And those crazy old ladies made it, part of the ambiance. But
Michael, have a great Friday, man. I got to jump. Appreciate you, brother.
All right, take care.
There you go, the great Michael Monahan. That does it for us. Thanks to everybody who jumped in on the show. Join us on Sunday. Join me later today at 4:30. But join us on Sunday from the watch party. Here it is. We'll be doing the watch party on Sunday from Pig and a Pickle in Corte Madera. Check us out. Come out, have a beer, have some barbecue, watch Niners and Cardinals, and hang out with us. We'd love to see you Sunday. I'll be there from noon on at Pig and a Pickle in Corte Madera. They got 2 locations, but we'll be at the location in Corte Madera. And thanks to everybody who supported the show today. Sorry Chase Sr. couldn't be with us. Join me at 4:30 this afternoon. The great Matt Barrows will be in the house as we'll talk a little bit more about Niners and Cardinals. Until then, peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get it.